welcome to Artist Talk. I'm Juliana Forero. Join me today in meeting two of the talented employees of the City of Pompano Beach whose work is being featured in the exhibition Creative Pompano. They are Jahlisa Harvey and Jodie Haven. Welcome, Jahlisa and Jodie. I'm very excited to have you here today. So thank you so much for joining me in this conversation. Let's start by sharing with the people watching with us what you do for the City of Pompano Beach. So let's start with Jahlisa.
Thanks. So for the City of Pompano, I work in the Go Bon section, which is kind of engineering. And so we handle a lot of the new construction you're going to be seeing as you drive down the street. So whether you're on MLK or if you're looking at McNair Park, there's a lot going on there. And so I work in that sector, which is really cool. Development kind of stuff was really intriguing.
Wonderful. And how about you, Jodie?
I work for the building department. I work in permitting, customer service and permitting. Before we closed for COVID, I was customer service at the counter. We would take in all the permits, help the customers, help the contractors get all their permits issued and stuff like that. Right now, we're closed to the public, so we're answering phones and processing permits indirectly.
Well, I really thank you both to submitting your work to the call to artists that we made because it's great for me to see you and to meet you. And so can you both, or can you each one of you talk about one of the pieces that are in the exhibition? Let's start with Jahlisa.
Sure. So I, let's see. I'd gone to the Hillsborough Inlet for the Lighthouse tour, which is like a super cool, captivating spot in Pompano. So if you haven't been out there, you should definitely check it out. They do tours about once a month, I believe. And so one of the pieces I have is Looking Up, and it's just like getting the whole picture of this great, grand lighthouse. And it's actually featuring my mom, which is, so you'll get a sighting of her. And I showed it to her as I was bringing it to drop it off. And she's like, wait a second, that's me. And I was like, by the way. So yeah, so I love that piece. I love the lighthouse. It's a really great beacon of Pompano Beach. And so I just thought it was a pretty cool way of capturing it and some residents.
It's really interesting what you say, because I thought that she was posing when people look at the photo, it looks like there's someone, I mean, she has a perfect pose looking up. So it's really interesting to realize that she didn't know.
I her out there and I was like taking pictures, and then she was looking, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. and so I took a picture and it worked out. It looks, thank you, because I thought it looks cool, but it's great that someone else also thinks it looks cool.
Yeah, I always like to hear the stories behind the photographs, and I like that you made it, these two pictures that you submitted are in black and white, or the ones that got selected, because you can now pick at what's happening. So it kind of takes away some of the color. The color works, but for these two images that you submitted, is great. It's great. So thank you. It's great. So your mom is a great model.
I'll let her know.
And Jodie, how about you? Let's hear from what do you have to say about one of your images?
One of my favorites is the cow and the sunflowers. The cow and the hawk were taken in the same park. The sunflowers that are in the picture are natural Florida sunflowers. They only bloom 3 weeks a year. So we drive over to Collier County every beginning of October to see the sunflowers. And it's just like a sea of gold. It's amazing. There's a park over there called Pepper Ranch Preserve, and they don't charge you, and there's wildlife like you wouldn't believe, but it's a working cattle ranch. So every now and then you get to see a cow walking around through the field and stuff like that. Just the diversity of the park is just amazing.
That's fascinating. So how did you spot the cow in the photo, and how far were you from these? How did it happen?
We were at one of the points where there's just sunflowers as far as you can see. And there's like a concrete dock area where you can stand at. And I got down in there to try to get some close-ups of the flowers and stuff. And he was just walking around eating. And I was probably within 5-6 feet of him. And everybody's like, get away, there's a cow. I'm like, the cow's not gonna hurt you. He just wants to eat. Totally oblivious to what I was doing. Every now and then he would look up and look at me, but didn't care. But it was just, he was the only one there. All the rest of them were in the pasture, and he just wandered his way into the middle of all the sunflowers. It was just one of those shots that doesn't happen all the time.
Yes, no, it is my favorite from the ones that you submitted, and the fact that he's so comfortable with you, completely
Yeah.
ignoring you.
Yeah.
I'm curious enough to be close,
Mhm.
but comfortable enough that you're there, I'm here, and then he's just surrounded by this beautiful field of flowers. So
Mhm.
I really love this
Yeah.
image. And so let's hear how you got started in this creative process. How did you get started? So, Jahlisa.
I started, I have a journalism communications background. And so kind of TV, video, film has kind of always piqued my interest. And I took a course in college. So I was like, oh, this is cool. But it wasn't until about maybe like 3 years ago, I'd gotten a camera for Christmas, and I was like, well, let's see what happens. And so I just kind of started taking pictures, and some of them looked good, some didn't, but and it was just more curiosity, I guess, that got me started.
But that's impressive. So, is this one of your first exhibitions?
This
Because you
is
got
my
it so
first, yeah,
recent?
I was so shocked.
Yes.
I got a reply, I was like, oh, something was good enough to show. And so I was super excited. I told all my friends, it was all over my Instagram. I was like, go look at my artwork. And so, yeah, this is my first one.
And And what I find so great is that now I know that you got your camera so recent, but in the end, you are doing something with the photos and they're being downloaded from the camera. I have a camera and I have a ton of pictures in the camera and I haven't done anything. And it's been probably 5 years since I shot those photos. So kudos to you that you are going along the process. So thank you. Thank you so much. And how about you, Jodie? How do you get started in the creative field?
I like to capture the moment, and I'm obsessed with nature and old historic sites. And we don't do, my kids and I have always, we don't do Disney World. We find the state park with this feature in it, or this old building, or this town. So we're going on next week. We're doing the same thing where we're running around North Florida, finding spots that I have located to take pictures of. And the sunflowers, I stumbled across it on a Facebook post, and I'm like, I've got to go. So we'll do day trips just to go look at stuff and take pictures. And I've been doing photography like unprofessional as an amateur for probably 25 years, and just really got into it the last 10 years. So
it's fantastic. I mean, after 25 years, I think that you have the eye. You should have the eye of a professional photographer. I mean, and I think we can see it in your photographs.
thank
I'm
you.
curious to know what are some of the sites that you visit?
I visited almost every state park between here and Gainesville. We go to towns, like we're going up to Placa in northern Florida on the St. John's. And it's just all the historic buildings and the history that's behind them, and buildings that are not going to be there long. So a lot of the photographers are saving parts of history. And it's fascinating to learn what was behind those buildings and what brought the families to that area to start the area and start the city. And then there's towns that were here and they're no longer there. Like there's one in near Bartow and off of Mulberry, and it's just a smokestack. There was an entire town. There was like 200 homes and a phosphate mine and everything else. And the only thing left of it from the early 1900s is a smokestack. So,
wow.
Yeah. And it's just there's no memory of that town except for if someone asks, why is that there? Mm-hmm. So it's nice to capture it and find out the history behind it.
Have you gone to a site and maybe see the change? Because it seems that you have this interest in preserving history. Have you visited a site and say, I'm curious to know, maybe I will go back in 10 years, and you've noticed the change, or maybe the wild claiming the buildings? Have you done that?
Yes, I've done that. And there's actually a set of gates that are right near the Miami, by the Dolphin Expressway, by the Miami VA. There's 2 pillars that are sitting there in a field. And I took pictures of it, and you post it and go, does anybody know what this is? And we narrowed it back to when Flagler started the Miami Country Club. and the pillars are still there from the early 1900s, the only thing left in the field. So it's really interesting. Florida has a lot of history, very diverse environment, animal-wise, everything else. It's just incredible what Florida has to offer.
Thank you so much for submitting your images. I cannot thank you enough. This is fascinating.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to get recognized and have our work out there.
Absolutely. And we want to make sure that this is a regular opportunity. So hopefully every 2 or 3 years, it's open for employees to submit the work, and maybe we can see also how you progress in your talent. So we'll definitely see the benefit, and we want to offer that that opportunity again, and for the community to see the talents behind the people that work in the city. And so I'm curious to see, how do you balance your artistic work with your everyday life and working? How do you do that? Is it, you find it easy to accommodate it, or is there some strategy that you need to do? So how about you, Jahlisa?
I would say now with COVID and everything and having to work from home, I think it's actually been a lot easier, because now I can kind of take a break when I probably wouldn't have been able to take a lunch break before, and just go outside and see things, and try to get like that perspective on camera. And I think it's helped a lot, because now I'm wanting to leave my house more to actually go do those things. Whereas before I'd be going to work, you know, you get up, you get ready, you head out to City Hall, I'm sitting behind a desk, and then I'm like, all right, well, I'm going home now. But now it's like, all right, I need to get out of my house. Like, I can't stare at these four walls anymore. So now it's more like, let's go see this thing I passed the other day, or let's go check out this thing I saw on Facebook, or someone mentioned that this was happening. Let's go see what it is. So I've got a lot more energy now, and a lot more, I guess, freedom to do these things and see these things. So I think the balance has been great. I'm probably doing more of that than probably what I should be doing, but we'll see.
Sounds like a good thing that came from the lockdown for you, that you can continue your creative work.
Yeah.
How about you, Jodie? How do you balance?
I'm still working at City Hall, but I enjoy the 3-day weekends. Whenever I have a 4-day weekend, it's even better, because then we can go somewhere, stay overnight. But we do a lot of day trips. Like, we just ran to Naples Zoo. They have a big botanical gardens and a zoo that's been there since the 40s. So we did a day trip. It's like, everybody's like, you're going out of town again? Yeah, I found a place I got to go look at. And it's like one of those things, I've got to go see this. So it's a little bit easier, because we have the long weekends and stuff like that, and it helps you decompress from everything that's going on. And COVID really helped, because no one was going out, so locations and stuff weren't crowded, so you were able to get the shots and take your time and stuff like that. A lot of the parks, there was no one in them. Like, you'd go and you wouldn't see anybody the whole time.
So. It's great to know that you have a system, and then you have a schedule, so it's part of your overall to go out and do these shots. So it's great to be so organized. My last question had to do with COVID. I don't know if you want to expand a little bit more, like how the lockdown affected. I think that we touched a little bit on that, but is there anything else that you want to expand, or in any part of this conversation, is there anything else that you want to add or want us to know about you?
I don't think so. It's just, people just don't realize what's around us and don't appreciate what's around us. I think people are starting to appreciate it more now that they've been in lockdown. I've had the luxury of going to work since this has happened. I haven't had to not go to work, not leave my house. So just to appreciate what's going on around you. COVID has made so many families closer and appreciate things more. So that's the one benefit of COVID that has happened.
Yeah, I agree with Jodie. And to touch on the parks thing, I've gone to a couple parks that normally would have like wait times, and a lot of the parks are now free to get into. And so like, you do have that time, like she said, to focus on what you're doing and get multiple shots from different angles, or even a couple of times, like you would feel silly doing something or doing whatever. And now like no one's even there. So it's like, it's your park for the taking. So you can do anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I found fascinating also that today's talk, you guys got so long. Did you knew each other by any chance?
No, no.
Well, now you all find also
Yeah.
some fellow
Yeah.
nature photographers. So this is wonderful. So I really want to thank you for your time today, for having the courage to submitting for an exhibition. I know that usually it's not easy to make the selection and take the courage to have someone else judge your work. So I appreciate and I thank you for that. And this concludes our conversation today. Thank you for everyone watching us, and we'll see you soon.